Hi, everybody. I wanted to talk to you today about the nodes of the moon and synastry. There's been a lot of buzz lately about the nodes of the moon, and that's because the nodes recently changed signs and moved into the Taurus-Scorpio axis. If you want more information about what that means for you over the next 18 months of your life, and in general, what the Taurus-Scorpio axis, now represented by the nodes of the moon, talks about, please click on the video that I'm going to link in the description box below, or at the end of this video, you'll find it somewhere around here. You will want to know about that video. That information is just amazing. But today, let's talk about synastry. Synastry is the study of two people's birth charts and how they energetically connect to each other in order to form the unique dynamic of that particular relationship. And that relationship can be romantic, it could be family, it could be friendship, work, any relationship. Synastry works with any relationship. And the nodes of the moon are very karmic points in astrology. So you can uncover a lot of information about the past life connections that you have with somebody else by studying your synastry with them and the nodal contacts. And you can also uncover what is happening in this particular lifetime, what you are meant to teach the other person, or what the other person is meant to teach you in this lifetime. And I thought it would be really interesting to show you this in action. And I'm actually going to use my chart and several of my family's charts just to illustrate this quickly so that you can understand the power of the nodal axis in synastry. Now, the nodal axis is not the only place to determine past life connections with other people in your life or soul purpose connections in this current lifetime with them, but it is a big area and it deserves its own video. I'll probably do videos on other synastry points in past life, how to look for past life connections, how to understand what the past life dynamic was and what lessons you're meant to learn from each other. But today I really want to focus on synastry and the nodes in particular. Okay, so I am going to quickly share my screen and define the nodes of the moon. Okay, so you can see this picture here. The Earth is in the middle, and the nodes of the moon are not actually planets. They are points in space, and they are the 2 points where the moon's path crosses the ecliptic. What is the ecliptic? Well, that is the path of the Earth's orbit around the sun. So you can see here, we've got the Earth, and we have the sun, and we have the moon. And so the moon's path around the ecliptic is how these mathematical points are determined. And the south node represents the past, the north node represents the future. And karmically speaking, the south node talks about past lives. And in your birth chart, it represents your accumulated past life talents, your accumulated past life baggage, as well as talents. So where you may have overdone things. Your south node of the moon in your chart, you can do without even thinking about it. It is automatic. It's like breathing to you. Your north node, on the other hand, is what you are striving to become and develop in this lifetime. And it's uncharted territory in as far as your soul is concerned. So in this lifetime, you are really supposed to just focus more on using your south node talents and abilities and qualities in order to actualize your north node sign and house placement. It's not always easy to do, but that is one of the keys in horoscope analysis to really understand a person's life direction and how to help anybody manifest that in a more strategic way. So now people come into our lives. We have families. We're born in family groups. We have romantic relationships. We have work relationships. We have soul contracts with so many people in our lives. And those soul contracts are meant to happen for a reason. A soulmate is nothing more than a person who is meant to teach lessons to you or who you are meant to teach lessons to. And usually it's both. And of course, everybody in your immediate circle is a soulmate in some respect. So you can look at the birth chart of yourself and your family members, your lover, your close friends, anybody that's close to you, and compare the nodal connections that you might have between your planets, the planets in your chart against their nodal axis, or your nodal axis against their planets. And it will tell a story. Will tell a story about the purpose of this relationship, what you're meant to learn from each other, what you're meant to teach each other. And when you are looking at nodal connections in synastry, I want you to use a tight orb. I would say 3 degrees is the sweet spot. Play around with it, okay? You don't want to get too far. The tighter the orb, the more the connection is going to be palpable. It's going to be really felt. And you don't have to search for these connections between you and somebody close to you guys. You don't have to stretch an orb to make it fit. If it's not there, it's not there. You're going to find the connections where they are meant to be in the charts. So trust that process, okay? But you want a tighter orb because it just protects the authenticity of what we're trying to accomplish here, which is really uncover that dynamic and that specific connection. So what I'm going to do now to illustrate this a little bit is I'm going to share my screen with you again, and I'm going to show you my birth chart. And I'm using my birth chart because obviously I know my family dynamics very well and the people closest to me. And I thought that it'd be very easy for me to illustrate exactly what connections on the nodal axis I have with certain people in my family. Okay, so let's get started. I will start with, I'm going to start with my father's chart against mine. Okay, so first let's locate my nodal axis. You can see my birth chart here, just trying to kind of make it easier to navigate. And I'm just going to move it up a little bit more. There we go. So now my north node of the moon is in the sign Sagittarius, and it's in the 8th house, leaning towards the 9th house, but it's in the 8th house. You can read it for both, okay? When a node or a planet is in at the end of one house, but leaning into the other, you actually do want to read for both because both houses will be important in the analysis. Now, the north and south node are always exactly opposite each other. So the south node for me will be in Gemini at 21 degrees, north node Sagittarius at 21 degrees. And the south node is at the very end of my 2nd house, leaning into my 3rd house. So I'm not going to get into a whole analysis of what my natal nodes mean, but we're going to focus on the synastry now between me and some important people in my life. I'm going to talk about my children's chart against the nodal axis, my sister, and my father. And I'm going to actually start with my father. So my father was born in Italy in 1948, and he has the planet Jupiter at about 21 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, Jupiter in astrology represents growth and philosophy. It is religion, it is culture. And my father, his Jupiter placement is in his 4th house of home family. When my father was 17 years old, he and his family came here to America from Italy. So his father passed away, and my grandmother, my Nona, was left to raise 6 children by herself. And she was trying to find a better life, to give her children a better life. And my father was the oldest. And so at the age of 17, he came here and they settled in New York, in Queens, New York. And that was a very significant situation for my father, because obviously he lived 17 years of his life in Italy, and English was not his first language, Italian was, and he's very tied to his Italian roots and family and culture and heritage. And so here I'm born, and I'm born in New York, 1974, and my father's Jupiter placement is exactly conjunct my North Node. So this is a very auspicious contact to have in synastry, okay? No, North Node contacts with somebody else's planets it's that person's planetary energy that's going to help you achieve your life direction in this lifetime in a beautiful way. You're going to really, when you are with that person, you feel like you are growing in a certain way. You feel like your relationship with them has a significant meaning and purpose in your life. And I thought it was really interesting that my father's Jupiter placement is exactly conjunct my North Node in Sagittarius. And the North Node is leaning into the 9th house, which is other cultures, international matters. And right now, at this point in my life, I have actually decided to pursue getting my dual citizenship. I was born in New York, but because my father was born in Italy, I have the right from bloodline to become an Italian citizen as well. And I have recently taken a very strong interest in doing this. I wanted to do this a couple of years ago, but I never really pulled the trigger on it. And now I am actually very much doing that. Okay, I'm pulling the trigger on it. It'll take 18 to 20 months to actually happen. It takes a long time to do something like that. But here's what's interesting. With his Jupiter there on my North Node, my father is literally the reason why I can do this. And so I know as an astrologer that there is going to be something extremely beneficial in my life and for me and in my life's destiny that will happen once I do this, when I get my dual citizenship, and when I learn how to speak Italian fluently, which is something that I will be doing to move forward with my plans. And that way, when I go back and forth between Italy and New York, I can talk to everybody in Italy, hopefully. So then that's my 2-year plan: learning Italian, becoming a citizen of Italy, and eventually going back and forth between Italy and the United States. So Jupiter, I love this. I love this. And I literally just recently found this. It's funny, you don't pay attention to everything, even though I might be an astrologer and looking at everybody's birth charts all the time. This is a contact that I literally today just realized. So I wanted to start the video. It's what inspired the video. So now that is my father's chart. Now, my sister, Antoinette, who I am extremely close with, she is obviously a sibling, and siblings in astrology are ruled by Mercury. And you can find out a lot of information in your birth chart about siblings from your 3rd house, which connects to the siblings, and Mercury placement. Well, now let's talk about the past. So South Node contacts. My South Node is in Gemini at 21 degrees. And South Node contacts, another person's planets touching your South Node, can be tricky because it can give you some, it can prevent your growth in some cases. It can feel so comfortable that you don't move forward the way you're supposed to, but there is always that familiarity. And so if you're, consciously using that energy with the other person in a way that doesn't hinder your North Node growth, it doesn't have to be a difficult connection. It does represent a past life connection. If another person's planet is closely connected to your South Node, it is a past life indicator. My sister Antoinette's Mercury placement is in Gemini, exactly conjunct my South Node. Now that is a literal explanation of my sister was my sibling in a past life. And there is something so familiar and comfortable. And in addition to that, in this lifetime, people who look at me and my sister have always said, oh my God, you guys are like twins. You look exactly alike. You could pass for twins. And we were even raised like that when I was younger because we're only 13 months apart. And it's really interesting because in a past life, we might have been twins because this is in Gemini. Mercury conjunct South Node in Gemini, sign of the twins. So I actually think that for my sister and I in a past life, we were in fact twin siblings. So that is an interesting South Node connection. And it's not a difficult one. It's a very, it's actually a really positive one for us. I said to her the other day, so Mercury's communication, right? And I literally said to my sister the other day, you are one of the only people in the entire world that I will talk to no matter what. Because even when I don't feel like talking to anybody, I feel like talking to you. I will talk to you. And she said, I feel the same way about you. And I just thought it was so cool to look at this connection, Mercury South Node in Gemini. And what a true statement that we both said and felt, that really we could not be in the mood to talk to anybody else, not want to deal with another person, but we will always be okay talking to each other. So that's the South Node connection. Now, let me talk briefly about my kids. That's, obviously your family is a great place to look at synastry contacts, guys, because your family is going to guarantee your soul family. You're going to have connections. So my son, Vincent, he is the oldest. He's my older child, and my daughter, Anna Maria, came 2 years later. My son, Vincent's 4th and 10th house cusp. So his 4th house, this is the 4th house in your chart. It's one of the angles of the chart, and this is your 10th house. Okay, that's another angle. This is an important axis, or both of the axes. Angles, all 4 angles in a horoscope are extremely important because they are points of energy manifestation, where the magic happens. And this particular contact is my nodal axis against his 4th and 10th house cusp. So my North Node is conjunct my son's midheaven or career sector, and my South Node is conjunct my son's 4th house cusp. So the 4th and the 10th house cusp is not just career and home and family. The 4th and 10th house cusp is also the mommy daddy axis in astrology. So isn't that fascinating and very reflective that my son Vincent has his 4th house in Gemini, exactly conjunct my South Node in Gemini. And that is an indicator that we definitely were family in a past life, and most likely there was a parental connection. We had that parental connection in a past life. Okay, that's what that symbolizes. And the North Node being in his career sector, I'm helping him to go towards his life destiny in general, and he is helping me do the same. His very existence actually helps me do the same. So that's a pretty important connection, and a very karmic one at that. And so now I'll show my chart one last time and just talk about my daughter's connections. So my daughter, Anna Maria, has Mars in Sagittarius conjunct my North Node. Now, Mars is the planet of action and energy and assertive drive. And her Mars placement conjunct my North Node really talks about her stimulating and motivating me and energizing me to go after what I am meant to go after in this lifetime, which is all about the pursuit of wisdom in the esoteric realm, 8th house, and healing realms, and sharing that wisdom with other people to help them heal from their traumas. And she is someone, she's like my biggest fan, I swear, my biggest cheerleader, my greatest fan. She just is. And she always has been. And I think that it is a wonderful reflection of her Mars just pushing me. Mom, do this. Oh my gosh, Mom, you're so great at this. You blah, 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 that kind of an energy. Now, her North Node is in Cancer, conjunct my Saturn. So my Saturn placement there in Cancer, conjunct her North Node, is saying that my structured nurturance as her authority figure, as her parent, is helping her achieve her goals and life destiny. She has the North Node in Cancer in her 9th house. So that is another very specific and reflective connection. Now, there is a connection that I will mention that isn't so great that I've had in my life experience. And this is just to illustrate what can happen when you have a difficult nodal connection with somebody. Now, anybody's planets conjunct your South Node, you're going to feel an immediate sense of familiarity, comfort, like, oh, we've met before, I've known you before. And it's a strong pull. And Saturn is the planet of karma, karmic debt, your greatest karmic debt in this lifetime, what you're here to master and overcome. And it can also be a block. Saturn can block. So when another person's Saturn is conjunct your South Node, it can be very karmic and fated because it's like a double past life energy. Saturn is past lives. South Node is past lives, right? So my Saturn is in my 2nd house of talents and abilities and self-worth, leaning into my 3rd house of communications. Saturn rules my career sector in my chart because I have Capricorn at the midheaven, the career sector. So that means that Saturn is the ruler of my career sector. Now, my ex-husband's Saturn placement was exactly conjunct my South Node in Gemini in my 2nd house. And I thought it was so interesting to look at that from a perspective of the reality of what that connection ended up leading to, because it actually prohibited me from developing my talents and abilities that I had in this lifetime like crazy, right? I have South Node in Gemini, so I have lots of past life experience with communications, teaching, writing, speaking. And his Saturn there both blocked it and crippled my security. Okay, so created this insecurity for me, but it also acted as the disciplinarian and the great karmic teacher, forcing me to take those Gemini talents and create a structure around them in order to make my career path. And that is very reflective of the relationship dynamic as far as I felt, how I felt it. I wasn't making money when I was married to him. That Saturn South Node kind of, he blocked that, but he blocked it because we had an agreement that I would be a stay-at-home mom and raise the kids. And then I ended up just getting comfortable, not actualizing my own talents and abilities, and it ended up crippling my self-worth a little bit. But we had a karmic soul contract for me to have that experience, and it was shown very clearly in the nodal connections between his Saturn placement conjunct my South Node of the moon. So I hope that this was a helpful video and that you learned something valuable about the nodes of the moon and their role in synastry. Please leave me some comments. Tell me, what you think about this energy, this video. Look at your charts. Tell me what contacts you've got with the people in your life, and analyze it to the best of your ability. South Node, you've got somebody's sun there, somebody's moon there, somebody's Venus, somebody's Uranus, whatever it is. North Node contacts, same thing. Look at them. It is gold in horoscope analysis and in helping to understand the meaning of why certain people are in your life and what they are here to bring into your soul's evolution and evolutionary path in this lifetime.